For those of you younger non-military people, you may not know that under President Carter, we tried to rescue American hostages that were in Iraq. So our military ended up doing a secret operation that got us 3/4 of the way into Iraq with helicopters and fixed-wing airplanes in order to try and go to rescue the hostages. So there was an accident there that caused the mission to be aborted. I want to tie this to President Bush, the Bush family, George Sr., the relationship to Islam and to the Solomonic bloc from the Nazis. So there were two indicators of Bush involvement. Number one of the helicopters was just hot. There was a part broke that shouldn't break. I mean, there's 8 aircraft at the special mission, and one of the helicopters gets screwed up, so they don't have enough birds to transport the people, so that was a problem. So additionally, when they went to the, let's call it the forward launch point, 3/4 of the way into the country, they had selected a very remote location with not much travel to none, abandoned area. Okay, so the aircraft makes it in there so that the air side and the ground side, the rotary wing guys, were going to be the Delta guys to go do the target. So therefore helicopters and airplanes were in the same spot, remote. So they're on the ground, there's weather problems, it's kind of dorked up, but of significance as things unfold, a bus full of children pulls up along the road and they have to stop them. Now they're compromised, so it's another one of these Afghanistan things where, hey, we can't do anything bad to them, but we have a problem, Houston. So this man, Wade Ishimoto, who's a classic guy in the special ops world, he's on the Desert One mission as a Delta Force operator. And he sizes up another vehicle that's coming at them at a rapid speed and orders an anti-tank round to blast the thing. And it turns out that it's a loaded fuel truck that was headed right at him. So I thought, as I thought about this, okay, maybe we had planned a logistics thing to have there's a thing called a FARP, a forward air refuel point, because you need fuel to get where you're going. But Ishimoto would have known that. The guy is, he's a major figure of lore, very intelligent man. He made a smart decision because here's what he did. He might not even know this, but I mean, I guess it's obvious. It was a suicide bomber coming at them. This is before the Pavlo helicopter, I believe, crashed into the fixed wing aircraft that wrecked everything, and all the Delta guys needed to run out of this burning blaze. But I should have the movie to accompany it, and I'll put the whole thing, the Delta, the Desert One failure, and it wasn't the guys were unreal. I was able to discern a lot because they were really going to do it. My former boss was on the ground in Tehran, and I think Dave McKnight is in the picture with Carter at the end. He's got relaxed grooming standards and he looks bigger than I remember him, but he was in the foreground. On the left side, somebody can tell me if they think it's McKnight, because it kind of looks like him, and I know he was there, and he was in the agencies, an L&O guy, as a U.S. Army SF dude who was on the ground for that mission, and and 4 of them said, hey, it would have been a piece of cake. If it would have made it, we could have done it. So in addition, Ahmadinejad was one of the students then, and he rose to power on the secular side of the country as the president. And I can talk separately about him, but very quickly, when Trump was trying to do the peace deal, he was told the Iranians, hey, we got to do this, even though Trump was anti-Iran. Now, the Iranians are being courted by the new, the history of the new director of the CIA, this guy Bill Burns. He was one of the supporting negotiators for the let's be friends with Iran. They won't build nuclear bombs, and we'll let them join the free world, the EU, which is a that's to call it what you want. Iran is being used, and the people in the United States are going, what are you doing? Do we love them or do we hate them? So Iran has been used as this illuminated problem since the CIA overthrew the Shah. So it's been an illuminated place since then, because that's what caused the freaking hostages to go in the Revolutionary Guard from Iran was a bunch of students. So it was it was a radicalized bunch of guys, and Ahmadinejad was one of them, and he was telling his cohorts when he was out of office, you guys should go to the peace meeting that Trump is arranging. Now, Bill Burns, the director of the CIA, has the predecessory proof that he's pro-Iran. So what you're going to see is Iran showing up at Trump's hoo-ha at Easter time with Kushner. So before I leave this, I wanted to, I talked you through the Delta stuff real fast, but I want to make sure that you realize that it's MO. It's the TTP of Bush, the loaded fuel vehicle into the bunch of military folks to destroy it. Go Beirut, go Khobar Towers, go embassies, go Oklahoma City. It's the blowing up vehicle full of stuff that causes damage to military people or federal property. Embassies overseas, Oklahoma City, the World Trade Center is obviously a huge one, but the Pentagon got hit with a drone, and this is all Bush. So Bush says we know everything. I'm trying to tell you now that he was running it since Kennedy, and this incident occurred in 1980. The Desert One mission was under Carter, and they were in big trouble. I mean, it's so ironic the way it went down, because Ishimoto saved everybody by blasting a damn suicide vehicle. He saved everybody's life, and they ran out. So here's what happened. He blasted them, and then the poor helicopter driver got misoriented. It was sanded up, and the ground guy did one thing and was backing up, and the poor man is living with this horror of his own personal responsibility that the bird crashed into the plane. And I believe him. I mean, you just have to watch him. He wears it to this day. And he shouldn't, because I think who knows what the hell anybody did to the freaking helicopter. There was another bird that had been deadlined because it had a problem with it. So the weather was a complication, but here's my point. Ishimoto saves everybody with the anti-tank round of the suicide bomber that nobody talks about because it's a Bush thing. And ironically, they're trying to get out of there because they got a stopped school bus, and they have they detonated the fuel truck, so they got to get out of there. And in the hubbub, they had the accident, and all the guys from Delta had to come running out of the plane, and Beckwith was on the ground, and I think General Boykin was in the picture, the black-suited guys who are they're demolition guys, they're Sodomites, they're warriors. I mean, I love these guys, I hate to say it, but because there's a lot of good guys in the group, and they were going to go do it. They were going to go do it, and they would have done it. but they screwed it up. And it would have been easy. We would have done it. Who the hell's going to stop us if we make it to the embassy with these guys? You should see these guys. I'm going to pause this. Okay, so very quickly, this is the picture of Carter meeting with 4 special guys that were the guys that were on the ground outside the American embassy in Iraq. And the closest one to McKnight is this guy. He's got too much hair. He looks way too Phil Donahue for Dave McKnight. But I know for a fact McKnight was on the ground. He's just, and that if anybody would be him, it would be him. I don't know who the hell this guy is, or weird stuff happening there. But hang on, I'll show you one more thing. Okay, this is going to be some of the trouble that occurred at the intermediate staging base. So I'm going to play this and talk to it while it's going. Make sure I got this maximized. Because, alright, let's do it that way. Okay, here we go.
8 helicopters had to fly nearly 700 miles to a desert landing strip where they would rendezvous with Delta Force, flying in on...
Okay, so the fixed aircraft are moving in and they're going to link up with the Delta guys who are coming in on rotary wing.
C-130s. But one helicopter dropped out because of an impending blade failure. The remaining 7 had to grope their way through unexpected clouds of dust.
Unexpected clouds of dust. Now listen to this. This is the poor guy that had the accident later.
At first, Jim Schaefer thought it was fog.
And I licked my finger, stuck it out the little window on the side, brought it back in, it was full of dust. Kind of harrowing. We were about 300 feet, we couldn't see the ground at 300 feet.
Disoriented, another helicopter turned back. The remaining 6 finally made it to Desert 1, where Delta Force was having its own problems. A bus full of Iranians had appeared on a dirt road that ran through the landing zone. As illustrated in the documentary, Delta stopped it with a grenade round and detained the passengers.
See, so at this point, let's call this a coincidence. But, I mean, what the hell? It's supposedly a never used place, and here's this bus. So that's one thing.
And Wade Ishimoto saw another set of headlights coming and ordered one of his men to stop it with an anti-tank weapon.
And the next words out of my mouth are, holy mackerel, a fuel truck. We hit a 3,000-gallon fuel transporter truck.
All right, I'll let it keep playing.
Depended on Delta Force reaching the embassy without being detected.
That's a suicide bomber.
The nighttime sky.
I remember looking at that thing burning and seeing this bus and these shadows, and Beckwith saying, "Welcome to World War III."
President Carter called Joint Chiefs Chairman Jones to find out what was happening.
Do you recall why we decided to land just adjacent to a highway? It's not a highway, sir. It's that little road. It was the only place we've been able to find so far that we could...
You know, this is all, George Bush was the king of the dark sun, so he's tied in with the Islamists. We drove through IEDs engineered by Pete Shoemaker. Ironically, these guys were really trying to do this. And I'm really torn about Boykin. I mean, I've met Boykin personally. And he's a Jesuit in terms of his religious, you know, he's a Christian crusader for Christ. I mean, that's how he wears it. He rolls that way. You know, papally call it. But it's draconian to the extent of when you peel everything back, you just want to justifiably kill people, and we don't know how to fight because we always just screw it up. We screw it up. We left Afghanistan with all our people. We just don't know how to fight. The Nazis know how to fight because they just retreat and they keep status of power. We just swing and spend money, and we don't succeed in the end. We're depressed and we're heartbroken and we lose at the collective level. So what I'm saying in this case is that what people don't know about Desert One is that Bush tried to sabotage it with that truck bomb, and Wade Ishimoto saved everybody, and then subsequently that same man, Jim Schaefer, had the accident with the plane, with the bird hitting the plane trying to get out of there. So that's that on Desert One. I was going to show you I was going to show you the picture of all the Delta guys who were a part of the mission, and Boykin I think was on the upper right. So I'll put that in the as the cover page to the video. And you know, there's just too much stink that came out of that whole thing, especially Garrison. I got more homework to do on that guy. He goes from the Sinai mission, just like almost like John Brennan went from the daily. Now this isn't a military track, because John Brennan was a coat and tie briefer for Clinton, like the morning brief guy, and all of a sudden he's like the DCI in Riyadh in time for Khobar Towers. So John Brennan got escalated to a senior troublemaker position really fast, and Garrison was the battalion commander for the Sinai mission, was there for some freaking handoff politically. So he goes from there, and he's all of a sudden he's in Delta Force. Oh, how fast can you run? I mean, what in the hell with him? Specifically him, William F. Garrison. I can't wait. Between him and Votel and Shoemaker, the fucking crew of them. And I'm not angry about it, because I forgive everybody. But I know what they did. Ken Stouse is dead because of them. Garrison sat on his fat ass with Congress and watched those helicopters in Utah. Tell me I'm wrong. Another weather incident. And it's so funny, because in the Delta thing, it was a big problem because we didn't rehearse it. So that's why they always rehearse. And then for Utah, they rehearsed it okay, and then everything got schlepp-rocked up, moving it from the rehearsal site to the hit site. So then the hit was messed up. And I don't blame anybody necessarily for that, but I guess I do, because the idiots reorganized, and they're high-speed guys, so they reorganized on the fly and threw people in different aircraft and went to do the mission anyway, because of course you rehearse it. And then they flew over man-made weather with Congress watching, and Garrison sitting in the audience. Oh, but he's got his, you know, he's going to go down in history as a retired military general that was nothing more than a contractor. That's the way I see Garrison. Piece of shit. Who I wish I could hear why he did what he did, because I'd love to forgive him, and I do, because I have to. Can he forgive himself and tell the truth? I don't know if he can. Not my fault. Not my fault. I hope he does. I hope Shoemaker does. I hope Joe Votel does. Mr. Nazi counter IED solution. Very interesting that we use the IEDs to attack the IEDs with the boxes and the soldiers. Let's not drive around them, because we're redcoats. We walk right down the middle of the road like a box to be blown up. Oh, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. But they need to tell the truth. George Bush, truth up, sir. Come out of your foxhole. Come out of your cave. Your inner earth, lime, puke, reclusive place. you know, we want peace. This is love that's supposed to be generating here, and I'm not doing a very good job of it, thanks to you guys. Truth hurts. So, why don't you tell it and fix everything so people will believe it? If you watch this and you know the people that I'm talking about, send it to them. I'd love to hear the story about why they did what they did. I don't think it's asking that much.